Hi guys, welcome back to Hair Dry Treatment. Not smiling this evening, I'm afraid. I mean, Meg, firstly, how are you doing? But secondly, sum up that pile of rubbish. I'm being polite there, by the way.
Well, I'm okay, but I'm not sure half Manchester United players are okay. I'm hoping there's some sort of reason why they were so poor. But yeah, and the one time Maguire gets a goal, I can't even celebrate it. I can't even celebrate the fact that it was a decent header. But not starting the stream off with a little dance tonight, which is a bit annoying, isn't it?
It's very annoying. You know what? I hate to say it, but just before the game, I said I've got this feeling. I said a feeling, and I was thinking I just hope I'm wrong, and I wasn't.
Do you know what though? On this whole feeling thing and losing, I know because I've seen it across other, YouTube channels and YouTube videos. The amount of meltdown that's going to go on, and I can't even deal with Twitter because the meltdown was already happening, and there's meltdowns everywhere. As a realist, and as you kind of got to look at it. The run was always going to come to an end. We were always going to lose at some point in the season. But did I expect to lose this game? No. And it worries me that this was the game that we lost because I think in the next coming weeks we've got more season-defining games against clubs that are in and around us, and we'll challenge a little bit more than Sheffield, and that's my concern with it.
Yeah, Serman says Martial, Rashford, Tuanzebe and everyone else on the team stunk today. Terrible losing to a relegation team. Yeah, I mean, we said it beforehand, there's no easy game, and the fact that they're fighting to stay up makes this game even harder. But to turn up the way that we did, I say turn up lightly, we didn't turn up. I mean, it was absolutely shocking. And that second goal, I'm going to speak to you about it, makes obviously you play centre-back, but the immense time and space that they had in that box, they had several attempts. I'm sorry, that's just disgraceful.
I'm laughing because don't laugh, I cry about this goal. What the hell was going on? What the hell? It was worse than Sunday League. We literally stood and watched them pass it around. Sheffield United turned into prime Barcelona, passing it around the box. And we just stood and watched them. The defending just so far off the players. And that goes for the first goal as well. And I need to go and rewatch it again because I cannot, for the life of me, work out why that player was on his own. I can't work out who's meant to be marking him. And the second goal, you're about 10 yards off him.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were saying it was a foul on De Gea and whatnot, and Martial should have been given. But put that aside, we simply were not good enough. Regardless of that goal that possibly should have been given, we were not good enough. This was a game today where we should have been celebrating many goals, keeping a clean sheet, and actually building our goal difference. And to turn up the way that we turned up,
someone just put today, I've just seen a comment. If you can whack it up, safe. Jack Ramsey just said about it was going to come to an end anyway, and it was always going to come to an end. That run was always going to come to an end. I'm a very realist kind of fan. I know for a fact that Manchester United were never going to go unbeaten for the rest of the season. At some point, it was going to happen that we were going to lose. My point is that I think that this is a worry that we lost in this game because we're going to come across. We've got Arsenal coming up at the weekend. We've got Chelsea again. We've got City. And, all these other teams that we've got to play. This shouldn't have been the game that broke us. This and everyone said it before, I said it before, this was an opportunity to rest some players. And yeah, okay, there was a bit of rotation, but I was looking at this game thinking, right, we can just rest a few players, we can still go out and win it, because I still think our players are better than theirs, that's just a fact. But it was the fact that it was this game. As a realist fan, yeah, it was always going to come to an end. I'm not scared to say that.
Anders says, feel like punching the wall. Trust me, I get the feeling. I'm so frustrated. I'm almost lost for words. I'm sat here thinking, what am I going to say next? Because I do not know how to summarise what I've just witnessed. We just didn't turn up. We were second to everything. They wanted it more than us. And for a team who were fighting to remain top of the league against the rival Man City as well, we just couldn't get up for it. And I'm sorry, if you're going to defend like that, regardless of who you're playing against, if you defend like we've defended yet again tonight, and it's happened several times this season, no way should you be in a title race. You just can't do that, can you, Meg? You just simply cannot defend like that.
You can't, especially if you're going to attack the way that we did, because it was just one. rubbish to another end of rubbish. There was no. It just didn't seem to come off. And we spoke about this, when we played Liverpool, and I said about Liverpool that it just didn't seem on the same wavelengths. Things weren't clicking, the passes weren't great, the crosses weren't going in that well. That was us tonight. Our attacking was poor, but our defending was even worse, and that is just a recipe for an absolute disaster.
Completely agree. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, this is why we cannot win the league. We cannot trust these players, and this is the type of game we cannot lose. The players have let us down tonight. Watch Man City tear apart this side. Bottle jobs. Yeah, Man City are on the up, and you have to say the way that we performed tonight, it's worrying. Really is worrying. At the same time, I think I'd add in there as well that we show progress beating the likes of Burnley, but what's the point in making the progress if you're going to take backward steps like this, Meg? It's obviously, if you're going to be title contenders, you've got to have consistency. And that we've said it before, we don't know what Manchester United team is going to turn up from one game to the next, but to not be able to get up for a game like this at home against Sheffield United, a team that are fighting to stay up, and I know it's not an easy game, but we had more than enough quality, even with the rotation, we had more than enough quality on the pitch to win that game tonight, Meg, regardless of personnel, player for player, we should have won tonight. Completely
agree, but player for player, I think, especially up top, they worked a lot harder. They didn't have in the first half. I can't remember about what time it was, but mid first half, we played 4 times more passes than them. We were on nearly 400. They just got over 100. And yet they had more shots. So that just tells you that they're working harder up front to create the opportunities. They didn't have the amount of passes going forward or the build-up play that we had, but when they were getting the chance, they were going to take it. But I feel like we've got to go and talk about the first half and about the 2 decisions against the goalkeepers. Now, I think the Maguire one is so soft. I think he does stand his ground, but I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Is that not fine to stand your ground? Well, jump and stand your ground?
Yeah. Although I think it's easy for us to focus on that and be like, oh, we're unlucky, but even that only takes us to a draw. Like I say, I think in hindsight, yes, that probably should have been given, but we just weren't good enough. We can't say, honestly, hand on heart, we deserve to get anything from this game tonight because we didn't. And even though we had all of that ball making, you mentioned the possession stats and what we had, look at where the possession was. Like, we could not break them down. We struggled. And they looked more likely to score. Even though we had all of the ball, Sheffield looked the more dangerous team, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that, but it's just simply not good enough. We just 2 basic sideways passing, safe passing. We had to go through them. It was not pointless whipping balls into the box, because who we're crossing to. Cavani wasn't starting. Martial hasn't got that natural instinct. Martial, who I thought, by the way, was really poor. He wasn't the only one today, but I thought he was very, very poor. But I just think it's all right having so much of the ball, but if you're not going anywhere with it, what's the point? Sheffield United looked more dangerous tonight than us.
Yeah, just the way that we kind of played, like the build-up play was just side to side, side to side. They stuck players behind the ball, and that 5 at the back, their 3 centre-backs I actually think played really well and were really solid. But when you've got to play against 5 at the back, you've got to play quicker. Yep. Just around the edge, if you want to kind of get round them to pull it back, you've got to play quicker than it was, and it was just too slow. And we'll go back to the thing about like flicking it round the corner, but there was no one there to flick it round to. We just played it without even looking over our shoulders. Frustrating to watch, but you've got to play quicker to get round the 5. You can't they'll just fall back into that line, and that'll be it. It's like a brick wall trying to get through people.
Yeah, the tempo is a big thing, and so many passes were just misjointed. Like, we just weren't on the same wavelength. So many times we overhit the final ball or underhit the final ball. It was just really frustrating to watch. And I felt like when we conceded first, I thought, right, this has happened before. Like, normally this is the kick up the arse we need to get started. And we just never had that kickstart, did we? We never got that kickstart. We never looked like we were getting out of that second gear today. And we wanted certain players to step up. And I mentioned Martial being really poor, which he was. For me, he was probably one of the worst players on the pitch. But Bruno Fernandes, I thought, was really poor as well. Rashford was quiet, didn't get into the game at all. Like I say, it's a team, isn't it? As a team, we simply were not good enough tonight.
No, and I think, like you've mentioned, a few players that weren't at it. And I just think across the board, there were so many players playing below their standard. And that's really difficult to try and get anything out of the game when you're carrying so many players. I've seen so many comments. I'm sure you'll wrap them up, but about Martial and everything. And someone put earlier, and I won't be able to find it because I'm trying to flick through the comments now, but about selling Martial. Now, I think that's a bold statement to make. I don't think he's playing at the level that he has shown that he can play in the past, especially last season. I think that whole when Greenwood burst on the scene and Rashford and Martial were firing, they both got 20 goals each, or more than 20 goals each. We haven't found that Martial this season, and that's not saying that he's not good enough. He's not playing to the standard that he's set himself.
Yeah, but like I say, it wasn't. I'm not sitting here and having an agenda. It wasn't just him. It was as a squad, as a team. We weren't good enough, 100%. A player that I felt we missed today, to be fair, I know we came on towards the end, but Luke Shaw for me. His driving runs going forwards in the box, I still feel like he would have made a difference for at least their second goal. He would have been nearer. I don't know if you disagree with me on that one, Meg, but do you think, Diego says there, should Van der Beek and Cavani have started? It's hard saying that in hindsight, isn't it?
I was going to say, looking back, you can say, that Cavani probably should have started, but I was excited to see Martial, Greenwood and Rashford back up the top. I love Cavani and I think he's a quality player. But because those three brought so much energy to the team, especially last season, that it was nice to see them and see what they could produce against a Sheffield United team that, like I said, before this game started, it was an opportunity to rest players and rotate the team. So when that team came out, I was quite excited to see those three names back up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that there wasn't that energy there. And like I said, you need that energy. You need those little sharp movements, and they weren't there.
Yeah. Darren says we just cannot allow teams that part of the buzz to score first. We're just so vulnerable on the counter attack, aren't we? We just are so open. And like I say, Sheffield looked the more ironically, we had all of the ball. Sheffield looked like the most likely team to score. We just couldn't break them down, and we really struggled. It's just so frustrating. Frustrating.
What I'll say though is I was crying for a substitution at 60 minutes, thinking he's got to change it now. And then Maguire scored. And then then that substitution came on. I thought bringing Cavani on with the goal that just happened, I thought the momentum would definitely have changed. And I didn't feel like we built on that. And you and I know that, when you've come from behind and you've scored the goal, the momentum can drastically swing back to you, even though you might not be playing very well. You've got that confidence, you can pick yourself back up again. That just wasn't there.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the subs at Ollie, like it seemed to get really, really flat, didn't it? Just before Maguire scored, like it was like pull your hair out, like nothing was happening. It was dire. We needed freshening up. Do you think that Ollie takes some blame as well for the lateness of the substitutions? Also, the fact that the players they dropped, for example, Luke Shaw, players that have been too influential in the last few games, he's got to take some flack for that, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think more so for the timing of the substitutions rather than the starting 11 for me, because, like I said, he came out and said that he wanted to rest Lindelof. And we all know that he's obviously struggled with an injury. Then Bailly took a knock yesterday, and he said that he was meant to be, involved in this game, so didn't really have much to play. Like his hand was played for him in terms of the fact that Tuanzebe was going to start. And like I said, I fully expected to see changes in this in terms of the starting 11. So taking responsibility of that, who starts. It's almost like we knew that was going to happen, but the fact that the game was as it was, and when you're watching it, it was so flat and, like I said, safe sideways passing, then change it. And I think the timing of that he needs to take responsibility for, definitely.
I completely agree. Mark says these are the players that we have until the end of the season. We've harder games to come. We could have been 9 clear of Liverpool right now. So frustrating, this team. It's definitely not good for your mental health, is it, supporting Manchester United right now? It really isn't, because one week you're beating Liverpool at the weekend and then you're losing at home to Sheffield United, bottom of the league. It's the inconsistency is what's killing us. And I think Connor said it in the chat, just the amount of rotation we've been doing is killing us. Yes, rotate, but the amount of rotation that Ollie's been doing, would you agree with that statement, Meg?
I think it's a real fine line, isn't it, about rotating the squad, but you look at how many games we've got to play. We're still in the FA Cup, we've still got cup games coming up, Europa League's coming back in it soon, and we're going to be back to playing these 2 games a week constantly again.
Yeah.
And I think when you need to balance it out a little bit on how much you rotate, but I highly expect to see changes.
Yeah.
If we sit here and say we're playing the same players and they all look leggy and they're not running as far as they were, or they're not running as quick as they were before, then we'd all be sat there saying, why hasn't he rotated it when he had the opportunity? Tonight was the opportunity.
Yeah, we were sat before and thinking, well, not us in particular, but as United fans, the feeling, the general consensus was we were going to get a few goals tonight. So you would see it as one of these games where you would rotate, and I get it completely.
I called it 3-0.
So I think we conceded. I did call 3-1, but still miles off it. I'm Blue. Thank you for the super chat. He said we didn't whip balls into the box because there's nobody in the box. The strikers need to learn how to position themselves. It's for Tellers at the end of that, so I'm guessing he's referring to Tellers balls. I agree. I think we were getting the ball wide, and then we were looking to whip a ball into the box. But then, who really that's their game, isn't it? They love that. That's their food and drink. So we're just playing in their hands by doing that. We needed to play through them. But as you've already mentioned, the tempo and the pace of our play was far too slow. Far too many sideward safe passes that we weren't breaking them down. Alex, thank you for the super chat as well. Not one player can tell me that they gave their all tonight. I hope this hurts them as much as it hurts me and other Manchester United fans. That was embarrassing. It was embarrassing and it did hurt Meg, definitely. Would you agree with the statement that they didn't give their all tonight?
I think no player goes out there thinking I'm going to give 70%. No player. I don't ever agree with that. I don't. What I do feel though is that they didn't hit the standards that they've set for themselves. All players, I think, across the board, you've seen, especially during the season, that they've picked up their performances when time's needed. Like when we go behind, we're known as the comeback. I think said comeback queens, the comeback kings of this season, because we've shown character and we showed perseverance to be where we are. I think players do go out there and try. I always think that. But I don't feel like they're hitting the standards that they've set for themselves, and that kind of becomes disappointing to watch.
Yeah, I think I'm just really disheartened by it. I'm disheartened because you beat Liverpool at the weekend, and everyone's absolutely buzzing going into this. And it was mentioned earlier in the comments, you just simply can't trust this group of players to get a job done. You can't trust them because you don't know what mindset they're going to come into week in, week out. And I know we've got a lot of fixtures and whatnot, and no game is an easy game in the Premier League. And trust me, it's not easy to play against a team who are fighting to stay up and they've got everyone behind the ball. But the worrying thing for me is, like I say, they look more likely to score than we did at times in that game when we were the ones dominating. We're just not direct enough. And I think that it has to fall onto the players, but obviously Ollie as well. It was just an absolute shambles today. And the faster we move on from this, the better. Obviously, we've got Arsenal at the weekend, so we need to lift our heads and lift them quickly. There's some payback that we need to be getting at Arsenal. And after a performance like that, Meg, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, but I do think, again, like you've just took the comment off.
Sorry,
the one about Luke Shaw, why didn't he start? I feel like we're definitely going to see him at the weekend on Saturday. I feel like Cavani will probably start on Saturday. You probably have Lindelof or Bailly back next to Maguire. The Matic one, I feel like that's a position that I feel will change as well. So it'll be, you've got to come back and show what you're made of, and it's the best game to do it because you've got to show what you're made of against Arsenal. It's a big game, but we'll see that other players are coming into this team. Yeah,
well, definitely something needs to change before Saturday, 100%. Because you turn up like that, we're going to end up being embarrassed. We really are, and we can't have that happen. And Arsenal fans are already probably on Twitter tweeting Banter FC and whatnot. It's already happening, so we need to make sure we show up this weekend. I would like to think that the players are as hurt as we are following that result. I would like to think so, but obviously we're going to get into the player ratings. Not as a long show tonight, because surprisingly there's not a lot we can really say on that diabolical performance. But yeah, we're going to give the ratings. I'll be surprised if many people get over a 5 because that is our average score, but we'll see how we get on. And obviously in the chat, let us know as well. And before we do that though, I'm Blue, thank you so much for that super chat. He says, Tellers was never allowed to whip balls in. Rashford always came out to get the ball away from him. I think the issue is, especially in that first half when Tellers was getting it as well, who's he whipping that ball into? Who's he whipping it into? There's no one really there. Obviously, he got a good assist from Maguire's goal. But I just don't think that was the game plan today. I don't really understand why that was the idea to play Tellers. Was it to whip balls in? Because who's he crossing it into? That's my only thing I don't understand. But other than that, I think Tellers had a decent game. I just think as a team, we just weren't good enough tonight at all. and we didn't have that cutting edge. And we've said it, to be fair, last few games, Meg. We've had plenty of chances. We could have scored 4 or 5, but we just haven't been clinical. Today, we just really struggled to create anything, really, didn't we? We didn't look dangerous at all.
No, we didn't. We didn't look. It wasn't fluid up front like we spoke about before.
Yeah.
And it just didn't come off, did it? Simple as it just didn't come off. And I think there will be games where you say this about your team, when you support for so long. There are games when it just didn't work, and tonight was one of them. The performance wasn't there. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can not play at your best and still get a point, which didn't happen tonight.
Yeah. And obviously you get the rubber green sometimes. With the VAR, we didn't get that tonight. And like I say, I'm not relying on that. It's not an excuse. We still weren't good enough. But other times that goes for us, and then the momentum swings our way. Then if that goes in, Martial's goal could have been a different outcome. But like I say, the faster we move on, the better from this one, and we head into the weekend. But firstly, make De Gea. We've already got one rating on there. De Gea is 6. Everyone else are 3. We probably could do a general rating over most players, to be fair with you. But De Gea, do you think he deserves a slightly above average rating? Some people felt he was at fault for the goal. Personally, I do think he was pushed as well, though.
Yes. I don't know who came through the back. Was it Sharp that came through the back?
Yeah, Sharp, yeah.
Everyone, you're going to look at that and think he should have made himself bigger. He should have been stronger to get to the ball. But that's what happens first, isn't it? You make a decision, and he didn't do it. A 5 or a 6 would probably suffice.
You know what? I think if we're being honest with ourselves, is there any player today, hand on heart, that you think would get higher than a 5?
I think Pogba had a good first half.
Yeah.
I don't think by any means that he was great. I think they had a good first half. And I just don't think, I'm trying to think the top 3. I'm trying to do it as a whole, because you kind of can have good moments. And I think Pogba did have good moments in the first half, but I think he fell off in the second half. And there's little moments that Matic, for instance, I couldn't understand why he was still on the pitch at one point. And then they went through one-on-one, and Matic made a superb tackle. Yeah. That could have been another goal quite easily for them. And I think that deserves a mention for Matic, because he didn't say, I'm not saying that he definitely would have scored, but that could have easily been a goal. Bruno as well, defensively worked hard. We've seen him literally leg it back from the 18-yard box to his own 18-yard box to make a tackle. Yeah. That don't get that off from a lot of players. So little standout moments like that, I feel like deserve a mention, but as a whole, a 5.
I think we should just do unanimous. Maybe Bruno, 5.5, slightly higher. It's hard though. Pogba obviously another one, probably 5.5. But realistically, above average, you'd probably say somewhere slightly, but nobody performed a worldie. Nobody stood out.
Another 6 from me.
No, I agree.
6. I think De Gea had moments where he was brilliant. Matic, I've said, didn't play well, but did have that one moment that potentially saved another goal for us. Bruno worked hard. Pogba had a better first half than a second half. Other than that, Maguire got us a goal at one point that got us back into the game. Yeah. But
so frustrating. Can you tell we're good guys? Can you tell?
I'm trying to smile just to be like friendly to everyone that's on the chat, but honestly, guys, I'm literally just like,
yeah. I feel a bit deflated, I can't lie. Doug, thank you so much for that super chat. I know you're at work, so I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. So the best way to bounce back is to go to Arsenal and win. It's all about the next game for United. Sometimes you get those kind of results in football. Yeah, I completely agree. The best way to get over it is to move on and batter Arsenal at the weekend. But the point is, we have to be a lot better than we were tonight. Ramsey Bolton says our true level is top 4 at best. Let's be honest. Thoughts on that statement, Megan? Thank you for the super chat, Ramsey. Appreciate that. Do you think that is true? Obviously, was it McAteer? They've been having a lot of stick on Twitter of late. I've seen a lot of people being blocked by McAteer. It was trending at one point, I believe. But he said that we were in a false position, top of the table. Would you agree with Ramsey that our true level is competing for top 4? That's a realistic aim.
I think realistically, yeah, we will be in the top 4.
We will be. You're that confident?
We will be. I'm confident. I feel like the players have shown, if we don't make top 4, something has definitely gone wrong to the point where we have come back time and time this season against the run of play where we've been a goal down and we've fought for a win. Now, if we can do that in the first half of the season, we should definitely be able to do it in the second half of the season where you're coming towards the business end of it and you can start kind of seeing where you're going to finish as long as you get the points. Realistically, I think we should definitely be in the top 4.
Ryan spot on. He said the objective was always top 4 league. It was always a bonus. Yeah, I completely agree. But when you are top of the league, of course you want to hold on to that. But I agree, none of us expected to be top of the league. You look at comparison to where we were last season and to where we were even at the start of this season. It's mad, really, to think that we've been in with a chance with that. But I think top 4 is a tough ask. Obviously, Chelsea got a new manager now, Tuchel. Obviously, didn't do too well today. But you've got Spurs, Chelsea, Leicester. I'm not going to put Arsenal in there, but there's teams who are, you'd say, on the up are doing better than us. Man City obviously are flying at the moment, and Liverpool are bound to come back into form. Like, to get top 4, it's going to be a tough ask, and we need to be better, particularly defensively. We cannot leak goals the way that we have been. But like you've already mentioned as well, Meg, we need to be clinical going forwards. But I think it's pointless me and Meg sitting here and going through every single individual player and giving them a rating, because I think the majority of them will be a 5, if I'm honest. And we've already said Pogba may be a 5.5. Bruno may be a 5.5 as well, added on to that. But Meg, if you could choose one player today for United who you think can hold the head up high, if you can choose one, I mean, who would that be? I think Maguire has to be up there for getting a goal, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm laughing because Inzaghi Smith, 2 comments up from the one that you've put on the screen. I've put man of the match, Mata collected the ball on the side while warming up really well.
I saw him give Donny a little pat on the back as well. At one point.
There's your man of the match from the comments. I was chuckling at that.
Yeah.
I don't even know who to say that I think, you're our man of the match from my Manchester United perspective. I can't say and think who.
Well, actually, to be fair, actually today Wan-Bissaka, I've got to be honest, and I do think Wan-Bissaka actually was fairly decent tonight. He looked a lot more positive going forwards. And I will say that because I've found him so frustrating of late. I do think he was a bit more purposeful going forwards. And he was an outlet for us a lot, especially in the first half. I think we often went down that right-hand side, where normally it's the left, isn't it? We went down the right. But would I put him as man of the match? No. I can't choose anyone. That's really that my mind at the minute. Like, everything's just merged into one. We were just rubbish.
Honestly, trying to do play rate. I knew this was going to happen at some point. Like I said, I knew we were going to lose, and I'm thinking, we've got to do player ratings. But normally, you kind of get players that have a bad game, and you have some players that you can say, you know what, although you played well, and it's a horrible feeling when you play well and your team loses, because you kind of think, I actually did what I was supposed to do. But tonight, everyone was just so poor compared to the standards that they've put for themselves. It just...
No words, just no words. Connor is spot on. He said the objective is always to win the league. Of course it is. When you're up there, you want to win the league. But top 4 overall is a necessity. I completely agree with that. And the Red Devil says Martial is finished, get rid. And there's a lot of people saying that regarding Martial. He definitely wasn't scratched tonight. Do you sell someone after one bad game? No, but he wasn't very good tonight. I've got to admit it, but the team wasn't good, to be fair. The team wasn't good. De Gea said De Gea looked... De Gea said Donny looked good when he came on. Gadget played well. I'm guessing Gadget. Inspector Gadget. And Maguire was decent as well.
I'm really annoyed, actually, that no one in the chat has put Maguire gang. Maguire scored, and I'm just gutted. It was my time. I was literally be like, he's arrived, he's finally put one away after it's been building. I can't even celebrate it.
There you go. I'll put it in the chat for you. Maguire gang. Let's go.
On screen right now. You haven't highlighted it. There we go. I was so ready for him to have scored this season, and I was just come on and be like, finally. Thank you. I'm going to take the praises. We're in the 5-finger forehead gang. We're there.
20 pence head gang, yeah. Wayne is a City fan. He said, you guys are great. Love watching you when you lose, though. I bet you do, especially right now.
It's very quiet today, Wade.
Yeah, thank you for the support though, Wade. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can be more of a competition for you in the running for the league, better than we were tonight, definitely. Twisty said great goal, love, obviously referring to the Maguire gang. Yeah, I'm absolutely gutted as well, Kevin. Absolutely gutted. I'm speechless. Don't get it twisted. Said I'm not blaming Pogba because everyone was poor, but his comments of Rio could have come at a worse time. Yeah, and he did a little tweak, didn't he, just before as well. But look, I'll agree. The comments just said that when we conceded, when we went behind, Pogba seemed to disappear, and I think I kind of agree with that. I'm not blaming him for that. I think the game changed, but I think in the early phases he was starting to control. Just before they scored, I think he was starting to take a bit of control, wasn't he, in the game? But yeah, I think he started well and then kind of faded, like Meg said. This is on the players tonight.
Faded across the whole board.
I agree. And to be fair, in the first half, Rashford, you probably say should have scored when Wan-Bissaka pulled it back to him as well. That was a decent chance. Should have at least been on target. Alex said this is on our players tonight. Martial is our Firmino at the moment because of his lack of form. Yeah, I think it's not a bad comparison. His lack of confidence as well, definitely. But the thing that what really annoyed me was when Martial towards the end tried to play a pass into the feet. I think it was Cavani, it was to the side of him, and he just stood there and threw. I think that was when Bruno made that challenge actually, when he tracked Ampadu all like the pitch, but he just threw his arms and just stood there. And I'm thinking, work to get it back, and that's what frustrates me with Martial. I think if Rashford does that, yeah, you're annoyed that he's giving the ball away, but at least he's working his socks off to get the ball back and he's making an effort. Bruno Fernandes, he gives the ball away 9 times out of 10. It's him who's tracking back to try and win it back. Martial's there and he's throwing his arms, and I'm thinking we're literally losing. Like, we're in a title race. We need to win, and you're standing there throwing your arms about, and that's just not what I like to see from a United player. And like I say, it wasn't just him who wasn't up to scratch, but it's that kind of reaction that I don't like seeing, particularly when we're behind as well. Like, this is when you should have a bit between your teeth and you should be fighting to get it back. But James has just said a little light on the subject. So at least you haven't got Pickford in goal. So thank you for that, James. You've lightened the mood a little bit. Yeah. But Meg, going into that Arsenal game at the weekend, we've got to bounce. There's nothing else to say, is there? We've got to bounce back.
Yeah, you've got to have a big performance against Arsenal now. That's gone. The result is the result. That's not going to change. But the way that you can perform in the next game is the crucial factor to focus on right now. You can either sit on that loss and feel sorry for yourself, or you can get yourself back into training for the players. You can get yourself ready and focused for the next game. And I think that Arsenal game, I mean, there are easier games to have following a loss, because I think it's going to be a difficult one. Always difficult. For me, almost one of the biggest games of the season, because just the age that I am and the fact that, in the 90s and the early 2000s, Manchester United and Arsenal were the two biggest teams. So growing up, I hate Arsenal. I hate it. So it's just a huge game. Yeah,
I hate Arsenal as well. But I hate games like this. Where you just feel so flat afterwards, because we didn't really create a lot. We never, ever really looked like we were going to get something for the game. We didn't deserve anything from the game. And I want to sit here and say full credit to Sheffield United, because they battled, they wanted every single ball. They were first for every ball. Like I say, they were a threat on the counter-attack, threat off set pieces, and they deserved the win tonight. And it kills me to say it, but they did. We just simply weren't good enough. And like I say, we must improve for the weekend. But we've got to move forward. We can't dwell on it like Meg says. We can't just sit there and mope around that result. Football moves quick, and by the weekend we could be feeling completely different. And like Dad said there, it's definitely a reality check for us. A lot of United fans obviously we were saying top of the league on here, laughing, saying we'll take for as long as we possibly could. But I think a lot of United fans did get a bit carried away with it. I think it is a reality check. We are still progressing. But yeah, that's all we got to say, isn't it, Meg? We are progressing. Yeah. We're on the right path, but we're not quite there yet, are we?
As if can't put Soph and Meg thoughts on going forward for us now. I think it doesn't change the fact that what my thoughts were. We're still second. We've still got City have got a game in hand and they can pull away a little bit more, but we're still right there. And that's what you've got to that's what you've got to focus on. You're still right there. You've got to keep yourself right with the chance. And right now we have still got a chance. And I think that's what. It's very easy to get sucked into this whole meltdown and we're never going to win again, and just snowballs into a negative effect. And this is why I don't hate Twitter, but I just feel like I've already looked and I just think there's such we've gone from top of the league and now we're absolutely on our arse. We're terrible. We're never going to win anything.
Yeah.
We lost the game and we didn't perform well. But there are still, I don't know how many games after the season. 19?
We're halfway through, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're halfway through, so yeah, I agree. I think, like I say, we don't want to mope on it. That's not going to get us anywhere. We need to just learn from it. Like you said, at some point the run was going to come to an end, and yeah, we're all pissed off that it was tonight against Sheffield United, and it really shouldn't have been tonight, but it was. And we have to face the facts. We simply weren't good enough. We need to change personnel. We definitely need to be stronger at the weekend, and if we do want to compete in this title race, then we need to defend better and we need to be more clinical in front of goal. Because like you've already mentioned, when we're leaking in goals and we're not taking our chances or creating chances at the end, it's a recipe for disaster. So we need to learn from it and we need to move forward. So that's all you can do right now. But attitude of certain players definitely need to change. And you know what? It could be the point that maybe certain players do need a rest, because at certain points in that game, I do think we looked a bit flat, we looked a bit leggy, and we just couldn't quite break them down, Meg.
No.
I do feel for Newcastle fans, to be fair, saying that, Callum. I completely feel for Newcastle fans. I get it.
You're in a bad place, Callum. You're in a bad place.
Yeah, definitely. I think until Ashley goes from Newcastle, I can't see much changing, to be honest. But yeah, guys, we've just got to try and stay positive after that. I know it's hard to, but look, we've got a game to win at the weekend against Arsenal, and win it we must. Me and Meg will still be here giving you content. To everyone who hasn't already, please do hit a like on the video. Really do appreciate it. Of course, if you haven't read your comments, put a comment afterwards and me and Meg will check the comments on the video. And of course, if you are new, please hit that subscribe button as well. We are close to 15k, so I'd appreciate it. And we're back tomorrow. We've got Chelsea Grimes joining us. Obviously, a big Liverpool fan. She played in Soccer Aid recently as well. Been doing a lot of work for BT, so we're catching up with Chelsea, discussing the mad league table at the moment, and also asking her thoughts on Liverpool season so far, and obviously how they compare to us and her thoughts on that. So that should be a really good one. And I'm trying to get a preview with Pippa sorted before Saturday's game as well, so that should be really cool. So there's a lot of content coming up, and obviously me and Meg will do our normal cool down as well. But Arsenal, Meg, for both of us, that's a big game, isn't it? We've got to win that one, surely.
Big game, or you turn your phone on mute for me. It's a big game.
It's one of them. It's one of them. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Stay positive. We're going to bounce back from it. It's pointless dwelling on it now. What's done is done. We move forwards. And like I say, stick together, stay positive, and hopefully it'll pay off. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Me and Meg will be back. Like I say, we're back tomorrow with more content. So, keep your eye out. Look out for the notification. Until then, take care. Stay positive. See you soon.